Hi everyone, Tracy Filter here with Tracy's Ink Spot. Glad you could join me today for another 3D Thursday video. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute little treat box. You could set these out at like your tablescapes for any of the little holidays coming up. They would fit a couple of tiny little pieces of chocolate, some Hershey Kisses, little M&Ms, something like that. Little tiny ones, really super cute, and they would make a great addition to your holiday tables. You could use them to also put people's names on them as their nameplate, name card. Alrighty, so first off, I would like to thank Angie Judah, who is also known as Chicken Scratch online, for the idea on how to make this box. I'm going to share her sketch of the layout, and then I've also made it a little bigger for myself. But if you want to be able to download this PDF that she made, you can go to her website, chickenscratch.com, look for a post in October of 2019, and it was a Halloween box that looks something like that. Okay? All right, so thank you, Angie, for showing that today. Anything I reference that I'm using today can be found either in the January to June 22 mini catalog or the May 21 to April 22 annual catalog. Okay. All right, so here is what you need for your tag topper treat box. You need a piece of cardstock that is 5 by 8.5. I'm going to be using So Saffron. We will score this on camera, so I'll go over those measurements and what they look like. You need 6 pieces of designer series paper. 4 of them need to be 7/8 inch by 1 7/8, and 2 of them need to be 3/4 by 1 7/8. And I'm going to be using the New Horizons DSP, and this can be found in the mini catalog. And what I love about this one is there's all of these really wonderful watercolored naturescapes, or something like that, if you want to call it. These would be great then you just can add some line art drawing to it, and it looks like you have created an oceanfront, a waterfront, a variety of things with sunsets. I mean, this little pack of paper is so versatile and so cool all on its own. And like I said, you just add a few little stamped images, and it looks like you've done this amazing creative piece of artwork. And really, it's just the designer series paper doing it all for you. So love this. This is in the mini catalog. And I think there's just a couple more, showing you both sides here. So you can see all these really beautiful watercolored pieces. This is the piece that I used. And what I did, I wanted just the parts that were kind of yellowy that would go with my So Saffron paper. So I took my 1 7/8 inch this way and then cut my shorter pieces off of there. So it's really just using kind of the top edge of that particular piece of 6 by 6. Okay, then you're gonna want some kind of topper punch. I'm gonna be using the Fancy Tag Topper Punch, which is in the annual catalog. Stampin' Up! Has made quite a variety of those, so whatever you have handy that you've got in your collection, just go ahead and use that. You're going to need some kind of strong adhesive. I'm going to be using Tear and Tape. You could use Seal Plus or actual glue if you wanted to do that. And then you're going to need some accessories to decorate it. So you can see I made a small tag and attached it with a little piece of ribbon. So I'll explain to you how I made that, but you can feel free to decorate around as well. You could use some die cut imagery. Like I said, if you want to use it as a name card, go ahead and just write their names on it or something like that. That would be really fun as well. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so you're going to take your piece here that's 5 by 8.5. And as you can see, we're going to do some scoring and some cutting. So the first scores we're going to make along the 8.5 inch edge are going to be at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches. Okay, I'm going to move my DSP out of the way. All right, so let's just go ahead and so grab your paper trimmer. Since we know we want to get out to 8 inches, I'm going to go ahead and do my extender right away so I don't forget about that. All right, and so we've got 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches. Okay? Then you're going to rotate it this way so that you have the 5 inch edge across the top. And we're going to go ahead and score that 2 inches from each edge. So I'm going to start one direction and do 2 inches. And then I'm going to flip it around and do that 2 inches again. Okay. Then you're done with your scoring, so you can just go ahead and set that aside. All right, now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and mark those score lines, or I should say burnish those score lines a little more with your bone folder so that they're nice and defined. And then on this little tiny piece that ends up about 1/2 inch wide, we're going to cut out those 2 parts right there. So for me, that is over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and find all of my score lines. Gotta get him a nice burnish. And then again, there's those 2-inch ones the long way. Oop, there we go. And 2-inch ones the long way. Okay, now remember, these pieces over here are the ones that we're gonna cut. So I'm gonna take my snips and I'm just gonna cut up that score line and in, and then in, and the score line again. Okay, and now what you have left is this little tab that eventually we're going to put some adhesive on, but in order to get it to lay nicely and flat, I'm going to actually just kind of angle cut just a tiny little piece off each side. And then when we actually put the box together, that will hold that adhesive spot much, much nicer. Okay, then as you can see, here's our other cut lines. We're going to cut up to the score lines at each of those 2, 4, 6, and 8 pieces. And then you've got your parts here that we're going to do with our tag topper and some additional scoring. Oh, I guess I lied. We need our paper score one more time. Okay, so let's go ahead and make those cuts. Up to the middle, like so, like so, and like so. Then we're going to flip that around and do it again. And again. And last one right here. Okay. Now, if you look at this piece here, this is again where our little cut piece is. We're going to take this first section and the third section over from right to left, and that's the parts we're going to insert into our tag topper punch. Okay, so if you're familiar with this, it's about a 2-inch width here, which should be what we have here. So we're just going to want to take that one part that we want to use. I'm going to flip down the other parts just to keep them out of my way. And we want to insert that one. And I'm just going to flip it over and make sure it's nice and straight in here. I need to straighten it out just a little bit. Okay. And we're going to cut that part off. And then, like I said, we're going to do the same thing, 2 more parts over. And I'll just go ahead and insert it this way right away. Okay. Get that up there, make sure I've got it within the window. You can see there's some little parts up there that'll help you see your distance side to side, and that you've got it nice and even. I'm just gonna tip it toward me for a second so I can make sure I see. Okay, there we go, and pop that out. All right. Now we're gonna take those 2 tabs back into our scoring tool and score it at 1 inch. So just the very tip of that tag part, we're going to line up on the 1-inch score line, and we should be able to get both of them through at once as long as you've kept those other flaps folded down. All right, now we should be done with our scoring tool. Okay, I'm going to place some adhesive on this little tab right here. Again, I am using tear and tape. You want something nice and strong that's going to hold your box closed once it's all done. Okay, so a little bit here, we go ahead and we take that off. And then I find it easier to just have it meet in the middle. So I took now if I flipped it over, now it's on my left, and I'm going to take the right edge to meet it, and that way you can see where those score lines are going to line up. Okay, and now you have the first parts of our box. I'm going to go ahead and put my DSP on now. You can assemble the whole box and do it then, but I just think it's going to be a little easier for me if I've got it nice and flat when I'm doing that. Okay, so again, you have 4 pieces that are a little wider and 2 pieces that are a little narrower. Your 4 wider pieces are going to go along what becomes the outside edges of this box, and the 2 skinnier pieces are going to be the parts just below where we punched, and that's going to make the lid. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add those 2. Like you can see, you have your score line there. You should be able to see exactly where to put it under that score line and above that score line. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay. Whoops. My tear and tape wants to stick to my elbow. Okay, got that one done. And now these 4 rectangles again are gonna go right into those spots right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some adhesive there. And we've got 1, 2, and I should mention, if you find that you have a designer series paper that's directional, just make sure you're paying attention to that when you cut. So if you're using something with a continuous image or something with stripes or a repeated pattern that you definitely want to have, you know, going in consistent lines, make sure you just cut that the right direction so that you've got your patterns the way you want them to be. Okay, so now my pieces are all around there. Now I'm going to go back to where I put the 2 seams together and put that toward the back corner. There we go. So that my 2 pieces are here. Now this is where my first seam went, was right back here, which I'm going to make this one be then the top of the bottom, if that makes sense. So I'm going to want to flip that piece over. So it's the part that goes along with the tag topper piece, but just the bottom side. And we're going to put some more adhesive on this one. Again, I'm using my tear and tape. And that's going to hold our box shut, okay, for the bottom. And then I'm just going to put a little more in the middle. I want to make sure this gets nice and stays nice and attached, I should say. All right. There's always the exciting part of a video, trying to watch someone remove either the dimensional backings or the tear and tape backings. Okay, so I'm going to start on the sides. And then this piece, and then this is the piece that has the adhesive on it. That's gonna go last. And again, if you wanted to miter those sides just a little bit, I can see this one's not quite straight, so I'm gonna cut just a little bit off. There we go. If you wanted to miter these or angle them just like we did the other one, if they don't feel like they're landing nicely, go ahead and do that. All right, so my adhesive is there. I'm gonna go back in with my bone folder from the top side and just make sure that all those pieces are sitting down nice. Okay, and again, here is our little 1-inch score lines that we put on the parts that got punched with the tag topper. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and fill that with whatever little treats you're using. And then these are just gonna flap over, and then this is going to sit together like so. Now I used ribbon to close mine just because I wanted something nice and simple. So I have the soft succulent open weave ribbon, and I just went ahead and ran that through here and then tied it in a knot or a bow. Okay, I did put my tag onto that ribbon piece. So I'm not actually going to close that yet, but I'm going to show you how I made my tag. I used the Daffodil Daydream stamp set. It's in the mini catalog, but I just used the butterfly and the words Easter Blessings. And I have a scrap piece of white paper, and then I just wanted to add a little background color to it. So I took my soft succulent ink pad and my blending brush, and I got some of the ink on there, and then I start off the page and I just brushed across, and you can do this as many times as you want to get this as dark as you want. And if you want a couple spots to be darker than others, you just press a little heavier in one area. Okay, I'll hold that up a little closer so you can see. So now my background is a little bit more succulent looking than white, and it just takes some of the starkness out of your paper if you add just a little bit of color to the back like that. Okay. Then I took my butterfly and I stamped him in Stays on there and colored him in with markers that were Daffodil Delight and Mango Melody. And then I added the Easter Blessings that I stamped in soft succulent on my little piece of scrap paper. And then I used my Label Me Fancy punch. It has a little hole right there, so I did the hole first, and then I stuck it inside, punched out my tag, and then where the hole is, I attached, obviously, through the ribbon and tied it shut, okay? I think that was pretty self-explanatory, so I didn't repeat that on camera because I don't want you guys to be sitting here and watching a video forever. So like I said, if you want to be doing this, here's again what you need. You need those dimensions of cardstock and designer series paper, and then accessories to decorate. So like I said, other stamp sets, die cut images, tags that you've created, ribbon, twine, whatever you're using to make it close. Okay. And then again, for reference, here's everything that I used today for my sample. So I had the So Saffron cardstock, the New Horizons DSP, my fancy tag topper punch, the soft succulent open weave ribbon, and my tear and tape, and that made my box itself. When I went to go do my tag, then I had basic white cardstock, my label Fancy Me punch. I had soft succulent ink and stays on ink, my blending brush, my Daffodil Daydream stamp set, and then the mango and daffodil markers, which come from the Brights collection. So you can get all 10 markers of that Brights collection in one pack. All right, so I hope you enjoyed making that little tag topper punch with me today, or tag topper box, I should say, with me today. It's a little fun, little treat decoration for your holiday table, party favor, whatever you're doing. All right, everybody, thank you again for joining me for another 3D Thursday. Hope to see you again soon. Bye now.